Hi, my name is Chelsea Jiang. I'm a student from Orange County School of the Arts, and I'm really deeply honored that my paper, an effective tool to help teenagers recognize emotional health as an early age using big data analysis and observative journals, was accepted for the presentation for AIFC 2025. And today I'll be introducing my paper and also my project SelfGen, and it is an AI-driven mobile app designed to help young people to explore and understand their emotions through creative outlets such as art, journal, and music. And I'll start by the contents. I'll start by introducing myself and how I personally connect to the project itself, the problems I found during my researches, and the solutions to it. And I'll perform a app demonstration, the experiments I did during summer, my future goals and updates, and also question time. Okay, by starting to go into a bit of the reason why I created this app, introducing myself, I feel like it's really important. When I was younger, I had poor emotional literacy because oftentimes I felt isolated and frustrated in my personal emotions. And when I reach out to my parents or my friends, which could be older than me at that time, but traditional Asian parents think I was too young to understand those problems, and I'll understand when I grow. But it actually caused me to have coping mechanism problems and not understanding what I was feeling. And I thought when I got into school, it would get better. And looking back, I realized how much doing flute actually helped me to cope with my emotions. I started doing flutes first grade of elementary school. It has been my 12th year of playing my flute, and it has been just like a really helpful emotional outlet for me. And I got into Orange County School of the Arts at seventh grade, and it has just been really educational for me. But at the same time, I feel like my emotion is being put in a really fixed structure, and I thought I should like be feeling like a certain way to perform music, such as if you're a musician, you probably know we have crescendos, diminuendos that you're supposed to perform in a piece. But my teacher now tells me how to, you have to perform it at a certain time, which I feel like emotions don't really work that way. I want people to be able to feel how they feel when they're at a younger time, so they get to cope with their emotions better when they're grown adults. And this app actually implemented a really fun tool too. I really like Inside Out, the movie, so you'll see later how I use that element in my app too. Okay, so some of the problems that I think we're facing during my researches is, first of all, kids' poor emotional literacy that are developed during early ages, which are caused by often unrecognized emotions, block of resources, and especially emotions fixed structure as you enter adult sense at school. So Americans actually already recognize this problem and implemented SEO programs at school. SEO programs is a short term for Great Social and Emotional Learning Curriculum and Programs, but there is evidence that it's significantly improving. There's an increase on implementation of SEO programs at school, specifically 76% from 2021 to 2022. But however, 62% of the school reported that the teachers lack time to teach SEL daily, which means the teachers are trying to implement this tool as a daily routine for the students, but because school could be stressful sometimes, and students may understand it as a curriculum instead of emotional outlet and more like a help for their emotional problems. And also like the needing of funding and lack of professional opportunities, and that became an ongoing problem. And a problem too is there's no resources for kids to reach out, but there's countless amounts for adults, again, ignoring kids' needs. So emotional regulation issues actually lead later to a 2.1 trillion lifetime social loss. So I feel like emotional problems and emotional literacy in the early age is really important because, as you can see, it actually leads to a financial problem more than a social problem now. So also did some research on multiple existing method that was already provided for adults' needs. First is a music-based app that match playlists to self-reported moods and taught regulation skills. In 6-month RCT trials, it actually improved 5 of 6 emotional regulation abilities, which is pretty impressive. But there lacks community and peer support. There's no data security, there's no privacy measures. At the same time, it only limits to music expression only. And second, there was a meta-analysis of 20 randomized control trials, which showed reflective writing actually reduced symptoms of PTSD and anxiety by about 5%. But it was also paper-based, not scalable. There's no digital tracking, so people can't really look back into their process and see what they progressed through time. And at the same time, there is no peer interaction, similar to the first one. And the third one is a school-based app collecting real-time mood and stressor data using daily EMA prompts, which is a short term for ecological momentary assessment. And this app is called CopeSmart, but there is a high user compliance and details, but there lacks on control group. There's minimum privacy, which is the same issue as the second one, and there's no engagements, creative engagements at all. And also there's no community interactions. So there's a really common factor we can see on all the three existing approaches, which is they all lack community interaction, peer support, and 2 out of 3 actually lacks um, privacy issues in their apps. So I think the solutions to solve the problems I propose my app, SelfGen, created by Flutter, and this is an app that combines first multimodal creativity, which can showcase later. Kids can choose their comfort zone from either art, writing, or music in I Matter category instead of being forced into one form, which you can see before, which is music escape. You can only perform it in a music kind of format, but now you can create your emotions in 3 kind of formats. And it also respects diverse emotional learning styles. Second, psychological accuracy, which based on data analysis, I'll show you guys later. There's a correlation of 3.46 versus 3.43 in survey accuracy. So that's really impressive, I think. And AI image recognition actually passes 70% of accuracy in motions. Third is the safety and privacy issues. We're solving it in the form of Firebase authentication implemented in my app and also report tools. And I think one of the most interesting part of my app is I restrict public comments because I feel like cyberbullying is actually becoming a really serious issue now, and restricting public comments can be one step into it. And also sustain engagement. We have a gamified I Matter page implementing daily quotes and news, which turns emotional reflection into a routine instead of a core. And also community empowerment, which encourages empathy and shared creativity without competition or social pressure. And through all these, I want to prove that the power of technology can also be emotionally intelligent and creatively free. And here is the demonstration to showcase my project. This is a project prototype that I'll explain to you later. Basically, you can see overall, I implemented a lot of Firebase Firestore into all of these, and I also implement Codes API, Psychology Today API, OpenAI, which you can see in chatbot and also generating arts. And music, you can see it's ML music generator. Okay, so I'll explain most of my parts by sharing this screenshot, and some parts I'll explain specifically by codes. Okay, so sign up and log in and the homepage. So when users first open the app, they're greeted with a secure Firebase authentication system, which ensures that every user's personal emotional data are tightly secured in them, and such as journals, drawings, and surveys. If you log into your account, you can definitely see those in your account. So it's more like a social media platform, which stays completely private. So once they log in, they land on the homepage, displaying their personal feed, which is a collection of their own art, writing, and music. You can see it in here. The first one is an example of music category. Second one is a art category, and third one is a journal. Okay, so I'm gonna specifically explain my sign up and login and how I actually coded it. So first of all, when you tap sign up, the app kicks off with the register user function, which sends your email and password straightforward to Firebase servers using the code creative user with email and password. Second, Firebase then does most of the work, which is basically checking your email looks right by checking the format of it. Your password is really protected by using a hash algorithm, and you haven't really signed up with the email that you're using. And if all is good, hands back to user's credential object with their new accounts. And next, we grab whatever you type in the name field, which you can see in the quote code, name, controller, text, and call it in the code update display name. So the Firebase stores your display name alongside with your accounts formatively, and you can see it in the app. And as soon as Firebase confirms you, SelfGen swaps up the sign up screen for the login screen so you can move on and ensures you can't accidentally press back to re-sign up. If something goes wrong, such as a weak password or an email that's already in use or an invalid email address, the catch block grabs Firebase error code and shows you a red snack bar with a pop-up message explaining what actually happened. And any other major issues falls back into the message of an error occurred with the red snack bar. And all of this communication connecting to the creation of accounts, setting your name, and returning errors all happens behind the help of Firebase authentication server, which you can also see in my diagram. You can see all of these connects back to Firebase Firestore. Okay, and I'll explain the heart of this app that I talked about, the I Matter page, which empathizes the need of self-care. So here the users can see their emotional data visualized. There's daily surveys on the first part. There's quotes and news recommendations, all adapt based on their recent emotions. And I actually added another navigation bar, which I'll talk about later. My goal was to turn self-reflection into a routine habit for users instead of a forced task and like a learning program, making emotional growth part of their creative daily life. So, one of the core of iMatter that I have to talk about is the daily surveys that I did research on. So, in this design, users are responding to short emoji-based questions 3 times a day. And remember, I talked about Inside Out. This is where I actually implemented it. I drew these emojis and on Procreate, and the first one you can see it's like mad, and then joy, and then sadness, and then there's like tons of them. Okay, so the questions are really playful, but actually scientifically designed, using different formats of questions to reflect easily, even for younger users. As you can see, people that are probably below like the age of 10 understands images better than text, so they can choose image instead of um, writing in text. So these responses are automatically stored in Firebase Firestore. Again, you can see on the upper right, there's like a little save button. And if you click it in, you can actually see all your previous responses. You can reflect yourself back into it. So this is the daily survey part. When you finish daily survey, screen full of hand-designed emoji-powered questions and tap on the save icon, the app runs the save survey function behind the scenes. So first, it checks whether any question is still unanswered. For example, if you're left a blank into any of those questions, it immediately shows you a red snack bar saying, please answer all questions, and stops. So if everything is filled in, it grabs your current Firebase user that you're logged in with. So it knows whose data this is and then builds today's data stream. For example, 2025, July 25th, and yeah, and it then bundles up your answers into a list of really small maps. Each will be paired with the question text with the emoji choice you have picked. At the same time, it also adds the date and a server-generated timestamp and writes to your whole package into Firestore under your user document and users, your UID surveys data string. So as soon as Firestore confirms the write, it flips and a save flag. So your UI can show how your daily check-in has been successfully stored in Google Server. All right, so next part I'll talk about is the other part of my navigation bar, which is the profile part, and also report content. So while SelfGen encourages creativity, it also protects emotional safety because of the following reason. So first of all, because users can upload drawings or journals, some content could be inappropriate or offensive. So I added a report content feature. So if anybody sees them, they can flag it instantly. And the system actually stores the report in Firestore. So if the content is reviewed, I review the content automatically before reappearing in the feed. So there are no public comments or likes, as I said, which prevents cyberbullying and keeps the platform really focused on expression instead of competition. There's also a really small AI chatbot icon on every page, and it is powered by OpenAI and acts like a supportive assistant. It's like Siri in my app, and it helps users navigate the app or even offering friendly and comfortable messages. Okay, so all of these ensures that SelfGen remains a space for safe creativity. So for the kids that prefer writing, the journaling page provides a guided prompts and emoji stacks, and some people can draw if they that reflects how they feel, and for users that for more connected through the sounds, and that could be one of them too. So there's also a report content page that will explain the codes. So when you tap report, an alert dialog lights up with a red warning icon and the title report content, followed by a question, why are you reporting this content? And a 5-line text field when you can find type your reason. At the bottom, you got two buttons. One of this is cancel and the other is submit, which grabs whatever you wrote and calls onto send report. And that method actually first checks if you actually enter something. If the field is empty, then it pops up with a red snack bar saying, please provide a reason for reporting. And once you've supplied a reason, it flips on ascending reporting, so you could see the disable inputs and then reaches out to Firebase Firestore and adds a new document in the reported area. And after the write succeeds, it closes up the dialog, sets in this reported flag. So your UI actually can swap the report button to report it and turns off sending reports and makes sure that you're back to where you started. And everything happens under the Sing and Firestore. Okay, so these are the experiments that I did during summer to test whether SelfGen's accuracy is actually um yeah, as high. And so to test whether SelfGen's AI can actually recognize emotions, I ran experiment one. You can see in the diagram that I started off by asking 20 participants to draw one of the four emotions: joy, calm, sadness, or anger. So these drawings are uploaded in the app, and SelfGen's AI image generator convert them into digital artworks without knowing the original emotion. Then three blind readers will have no idea of the original emotion is, and they will ask to label each AI generated image. And actually, the results shows that over 70% of accuracy for emotions such as joy, sadness, and calm, which met our target threshold. So joy actually had the highest accuracy as AI picked it up with really bright colors and rounded shapes. And anger was actually having the lower side, around 50%, because dark tones and harsh lines sometimes are misinterpreted as confusion or sadness. So this experiment successfully showed that SelfGen's AI can effectively capture emotional tone. And my second experiment, I wanted to test whether the app's daily surveys were accurate enough to reflect users' real emotions through the week. I worked with 30 participants to use SelfGen for 7 days. So each day they were asked to complete 3 emoji-based surveys from morning, afternoon, and evening, and also wrote a daily reflection in short. So after the week, I compared the average emotional score from the surveys with their reflection ratings. And the results actually shows 3.46 versus 3.43, which between how users felt and what they actually wrote. So that means SelfGen's service actually accurately captured emotional states and confirming that the system's real-time feedback loops truly works. And another really interesting discovery that I found through the experiment is the evening check-ins tend to be the most reliable ones, because since emotions tend to be stabilized later in the day. So from this data, we decided to prioritize later on evening surveys in future versions of SelfGen to improve the accuracy. Some of my future goals and updates are my future goals is to implement it in my school club and my volunteer organization that I'm already doing. I want to continue to expand and spread awareness of psychology and emotional literacy problems, and the club members are actually using the app, and which is already I'm doing right now. And third, I want the public recognize the existence of this app and actually start using it. And some of the updates, so in version 2.0 of SelfGen I already changed the following parts. I added an event button in the navigation bar, and you can see all the school events and volunteer events that I'm doing. And there's actually RSVP on events, so you can reserve them. And artworks are well displayed in homepage, but still I want to further update to make sure the survey is directly correlating with the quotes and the news instead of users connecting them by themselves. The AI can help them to identify passcodes for exclusive volunteer events, so only the club members can go. So for also the forgot password button to ensure more security. Okay, that is all. Thank you for listening, and please ask right now if you have any questions.